That's me, Franny.
Hi, welcome back to FrannyTings. So as you see here, we have a special guest. Give it up for Busy. Woo!
Thank you. I've been waiting forever to hear that hi in person, so it finally happened.
So the reason why I brought Busy onto my FrannyTings podcast is because I wanted to talk about creative relationships. And by that, I mean people who are in intimate relationships that have the same career. In this case, it's going to be in the creative field. So like directing, photography, all that good stuff. So Busy is actually the founder of Age Gap Studios, which is where we are right now. Check it out. Ooh. Look at this space. So cute. And she is now engaged.
Oh my God, let me show you the rock. Hold on. This just happened, so I'm still doing things like this.
She's now engaged to Kendrick Vasquez, which is also the founder of Age Gap Studios. He was actually on my podcast a couple weeks ago, so if you want, you can go ahead and check that out. So obviously you guys have a successful relationship. You guys have been together for 10 years, now engaged, and you guys have a booming business. It's gonna keep growing and it's gonna continue to be successful. So I wanted to get into it because I feel like there is a stigma behind couples that are in the same career path together. I've gotten a lot of people saying that like if there's competition involved, and I feel like those things are very ego driven. So I just wanted to, kind of pick at your mind and see what you think about this topic. So let's get into it.
Okay, I'm ready.
Work. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to ask you is the generic question, which is how did you and Kendrick meet overall?
Ooh, I love this question because the answer is such a basic answer. So Kendrick and I met Ultra Weekend.
Work.
We actually met at like a house party that my friend invited me to. It ended up being his house party. And I don't know, we hit it off. His whole friend group was really cool. And literally that weekend was Ultra, and I was like, I have a hotel room, like telly vibes.
Yeah, telly vibes.
If you want to come, you totally can. And we just hit it off that weekend. I even left Ultra a day early, which I never do.
Yeah.
To spend time with him.
Oh my God, so cute. And what do you think, where were you guys in, I guess, your careers or in your time of life? Were you guys already going into the creative field, or what were you currently doing during that time?
So I always knew that I wanted to be part of the industry because my dad is a director. So when I was 7 years old, I remember him teaching me Final Cut, and I was already editing my home
oh my God,
movie.
bitch.
Yes, literally on Final Cut. Yeah. Not even iMovie. So that's always been a part of me. When I met Kendrick, I was still in my senior year of high school. I was 18 years old, and Kendrick is 5 years older than me, so he was 23. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was very much... I was getting ready to graduate and move to Germany to go to film school, which I think is why it was so awesome, because there was really no pressure. I'm like, what is this? Are we going to stay together? I was leaving, so it kind of had a time stamp on it, and we knew it, whatever happens, happens. And Kendrick was in the creative field, but more so in the music side. He was in a band when I met him. Yeah.
He went on Warped Tour, right?
Yeah. I met him a year after that happened, which I'm so mad because I feel like I would have been such a tour girl. Yeah. Total. But he went to Warped Tour and he traveled the whole country, and I met him right after he had just gotten back from that.
Wow. Yeah. Work. So moving forward, when did you guys start getting in the process of building HGAB together?
So I left to Germany, right? A lot of things happened, but I decided that my place was coming back to Miami and being with Kendrick and working on something together because I missed him. Yeah. And I really missed everything about being here. And I knew that it was my home and I could really thrive here just based on the connections and people that I knew. So we had this idea to start an advertising agency, also a magazine. Okay. And at that point, Kendrick picked up a camera and just decided to start taking pictures for the magazine, and I was writing the articles for it, right? So that was already teamwork there, which is really awesome. And he's completely self-taught, and basically so am I, because no one ever taught me to write the articles that I was writing. Yeah. I just enjoyed writing. And yeah, after that, I feel like we really got into the whole photography side of things because that's what we enjoyed the most, like putting together productions and thriving in that aspect.
Right.
And it was just a lot of fun to be creative in that way. And so then we started doing photographs for clients and stuff like that. And the team grew, obviously. Then it wasn't just me and Kendrick, Mariana, which was also on your podcast.
Yes.
And Chris, who I don't think has been on the podcast.
Yeah, he hasn't. I have to bring him on.
The last founder.
The last founder.
Yeah, and so it kind of took a life of its own, but it was always so much fun doing it together. And I never felt like it has hindered me in the way that you say. Like, I've heard people say that being a creative and dating a non-creative is hard. I don't know how often I've heard being two creatives is hard, but I guess it comes with its own set of challenges.
Right. I feel like, at least in my opinion, I feel like the situations that people say about like dating a creator, like the competition aspect, which is like what I said earlier, I feel like that has a lot to do with your own personal ego. I think that's like more of a personal thing. I don't think it's something that like should bleed into the relationship. You know, I feel
not
like
healthy.
That is not healthy. Yeah, exactly. I feel like, you know, you are both individuals, and like, you know, I feel like as a partner, like you should be happy for like your partner doing whatever it is that they want to do.
Definitely.
You know. So I feel like you guys work really well together. Like, obviously, like you guys are like my bosses. So I see it in front of me, you know. But I do want to get into like business and pleasure. Like, do you find it hard to separate those two? Do you think that you need to separate those two, running a business, you know, with your now fiance? Do you think it's a little tough?
Shit. I mean, it's definitely tough. And I'm lucky enough to say that the only fights me and Kendrick ever have are always business related.
They're always about work. They're never about intimacy.
It's literally never in our own life, because we have really good communication, and I feel like that's also why we work together so well.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. But I can see how it can get in the way. I guess I'm lucky to say that we started a business together, right?
Right.
So it's not like I have my own career and I'm doing art direction over here and Kendrick's over there doing photography, and we feel like, oh, we have to one up each other.
Right.
So I can see how maybe in relationships where you're working in totally different sides
like
of the industry,
things,
and different projects, that could be a thing. Like, oh, who's bringing in more money and who's working with the bigger budgets, right? But me and Kendrick are kind of working towards the same goals, so I think it's different.
Right.
In that sense.
In that aspect. Yeah. Okay, cool. And I know that you said you went to Germany for film school, and like did you and Kendrick continue your relationship? I know that's going like backwards, but I just wanted to get more into that.
Yeah. So we did continue our relationship. It was a long distance relationship and it was hard. There's a time difference. Yeah. And the whole thing.
What's the time difference between here and
7 to 8 hours, depending on like if it's daylight savings.
Yeah. So how would that work? Like, how would you guys like be able to catch up?
Hard. Like, whenever I was talking to him, I felt like he was busy because it was daytime for him, and then it was like I was already winding down for the day. It was tough, but it worked out too, because we had our space to do our own things and really think about like the next few years. And I remember like this really big fork in the road for me was when I applied to the Disney college program, and that's what I was gonna do, right? I was ready to come back and like start working for Disney and the whole thing, and it kind of became a thing. Kendrick had this idea to start the magazine and the company, and it was one or the other. I couldn't do both. And I just went with my gut, and I decided to work with him on this project, and I'm so glad that I did. I'm so glad that I did, because you lose time sometimes, like when you seek those other conventional routes that everyone else is going for. And it seemed like a great opportunity at the time, but sometimes you have to make your own path, and it's super scary. But I feel like I made the right decision.
Yeah, I feel like I made the right choice. So did you end up working at Disney? Like, were you there for a little bit and then quit, or?
No, I got accepted and I turned them down because it was very hard for me. I'm a planner, and I like to like be secure about my future. And obviously, while we were doing the magazine and stuff, I did take up other roles. Like, I think I've told you, I worked at like Y100 as an intern, and then I was doing Nickelodeon for a little bit. But every time I was working for these really cool jobs, because they were really awesome, I just felt like I needed to do something for myself. And I don't think if it if it wasn't for Kendrick, I don't think I would have done it on my own. I always say that like I'm a really good employee and I'm good at following direction, and people like me and as an employee because I'm really good, right? I don't know if that sounds conceited or not, but I'm just very responsible.
Capricorn vibes.
But I don't have that thing that like pushes myself to like jump out of my comfort zone, and I think that's what Kendrick brings to me and to my career. So I'm very thankful.
I definitely see that. I definitely see that duo with you guys.
Like pushes me like off the plank. Like, go.
And you're like, but wait. Yeah. Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
And like, did you guys ever feel like, you know, throughout the process, like I know that you guys like live together, but did you ever feel like the business aspect was taking over your like, I guess, intimacy time, like between you and like Kendrick at all? Or did you ever feel like you guys always made time like for you guys?
I think we can still definitely make more time for ourselves. I'm a very anxious person. So, and since Kendrick works with me and knows what I'm going through and the things that are going through my mind, I feel like I can vent to him a lot. And usually when I'm venting, it's probably about work stuff or just like stresses that I have. And yeah, it does bleed into it. And I think it's mainly my fault for not separating those two things as often as I should. Like Kendrick always tells me at 5 o'clock, clock out. Like that's it. You're done with work. Like let's enjoy ourselves. Whatever's happening over there, like we can deal with it as it comes. So I think it's important to separate those things just for yourself, but like really separate them, not just say like, oh yeah, I can do it.
And then like constantly thinking about it like in the back of your head. Yeah,
I could still work on that for sure. It's not perfect.
So you think it's more so like a you thing, because you think Kendrick is good at like disconnecting from
He's
that?
so good at that. Yeah, he teaches me a lot about that all the time. Or maybe he just worries and doesn't tell me. I don't. That could also be it.
Maybe
I'm more expressive.
Yeah, I'm more expressive. You're like, why? No, wait.
Too emotional, and he's the Cancer. But I'll go there.
So what do you think are like the pros and the cons of like being in a creative relationship? Because I'm personally am in one, and I would love to know like, you know, what the pros and cons for you are. So I wanted to get into that.
Let's talk about pros first. I guess we help each other out a lot. Whatever projects I have or ideas, I feel like we can bounce ideas really well. And he's very supportive and everything. Cons would definitely be that we have two very different styles of working.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know Kendrick. So
I know. Yeah, I'm laughing exactly because I get it. But like, try to be a little bit more specific so they can understand what you mean, because I get it.
Trying to be nice. So I'm a very organized and like scheduled and planned individual. I'm a producer. That's the part of the industry that I'm in. So it's just how I've always been. And Kendrick is more of he works really well under team settings. I rather just like be on my own and do what I want because I want things done a certain way. He thrives in a group and like being the leader and telling people what to do, but also like being around a bunch of people. Like he just loves that. And sometimes doing that can make him like multitask a lot. And that drives me crazy. Very sporadic, picking up one project here, doing a little bit, and then picking up another project there. I'm a person that works on one thing, focuses, finishes it, and then moves on to the next thing. Both things have their good and bad stuff, but it drives me a little bit crazy.
I would agree. I feel like on my end it's kind of the same. Like I see a lot of like you guys in my relationship with Johnny. I feel like I'm very organized, and I feel like Johnny is a little bit more sporadic. I feel like he is able to get things done, but more so like I feel like on his time. And for me, it's always like I am scheduled. Like I literally scheduled everything in my life. So I feel like
this is my time reserved for this. So that's what we're doing.
So that's what we're doing. And then yes, exactly. And I feel like Johnny's more like very go with the flow, and he's like, if I feel like, you know, like this is not it for today, like I won't focus on, let's say, like writing music. I'll focus on making a beat, or I'll focus on editing this video because that's what I feel like doing today, you know? That's more how he gets things done. And for me, it's like, no, I have to do this.
Like that?
Like I have to do this today because I have a due date, and the due date, and this is something he always makes fun of me for, which is something we were talking about literally on FaceTime before this, is like, that's your due date. Like it's literally no one else's due date.
It's
It's
so
yours, because
true.
I put so much pressure on like trying to, I guess, like perfect things and like having these due dates. And he's like, that's something that you gave yourself, you know, and you feel like, you know, you're putting all this pressure onto this due date and like no one else knows about it.
Right,
So like
so
you're
chill.
yeah, like you're putting that on like kind of like yourself, you know. I do think like the pros is definitely, I feel like we help each other so much, because I feel like the things that we do really mesh well.
Yes.
So like, you know, he's like an artist, like he's a rapper, but he's also a videographer, a photographer, and like all this stuff. And I feel like I dabble in art direction and like more or less kind of like what he does. But I feel like the thing that I bring to the table is that, like, I guess, quote unquote organization and like pre-pro, you know. I feel like, yeah, it's a gift and a curse though, because sometimes like I literally can't, like when people are like, oh, let's hang out today, I'm like, you didn't tell me this 2 weeks ago, so therefore like
no.
we can't do it. Yeah, like we can't do it. But yeah, I feel like having a creative partner, like also another thing is like the understanding, because I feel like I personally, I don't think I've ever dated anyone outside of the field, which is crazy. I guess I have a type.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever dated anyone outside of the field. My first boyfriend, but I don't really consider him, like, that's already like, you know, when you have a resume and you start deleting.
Yeah, like, that didn't even happen.
Like Aeropostale was in 2016. Like I don't need that anymore.
Damn.
So I feel like one thing that I really value about creative relationships is the understanding of what you do, because I feel like if I were to be with someone that didn't understand, like, okay, yes, I'm working, but then I have a podcast to record, and then I have to edit it, and then I have to do this. Like, I feel like a creative's schedule is very sporadic, and it's hard because sometimes, like, you know, for example, Johnny, like, will make a date on like the weekend, and then he'll call me and be like, hey, I just got a PA gig, like I can't do it. And like, you know, for anyone else, like it might be hard for them to understand that like you can get
like, how
things.
does that happen? How,
yeah,
are you like a doctor that you're on call?
Exactly. Like, and it happens, you know,
course.
and it's like, yeah, we can always reschedule it. But luckily, like, you know, I understand that because I understand the field, and I feel like if someone else were to come into like that lifestyle, they'll be like, wait, what? Like, is it an excuse? Like, you know, like this, all this shit. Like, I feel like.
And usually those gigs pay really well. Like,
exactly.
Especially last minute like that. Or like when you're editing a video and it takes 6 hours. They're like, oh, she's just editing a video. But like, no, it really does.
It takes long. Yeah. It takes a long time. You got to hear it. You got to cut the snippets, and you got to merge the audio.
And once you're in it, you're in it. Like, I'm not going to get up and leave because I'm almost done.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, you know, I feel like sometimes, like, you know, you'll be like, oh, like, why are you late? Or like, you know, like you have something planned, and it's like, you know, if Johnny were to tell me like, listen, like I can't because like I'm really tapped in right now to this video, or I'm tapped into making this song, like, you know, I'll go later, or we'll do it another day. Like for me, it's more understanding, because I know that when you're in that zone, you're in that zone. You're not going to be answering phone calls. You're not going to be answering text messages. Like I don't expect that, you know, from like, I guess a creator, you know, because I get it, and vice versa. You know, it's like we're purposely not trying to block you out. We're literally blocking everything and everybody out to get this done, you know? So I do think it's a beautiful thing, but I don't know. I feel like that stigma, I've heard it a few times and I feel like I've heard it from men, and I know that sounds sexist, but I feel like, men have the tendency to be like very like ego driven sometimes. And I'm not saying all men are like this, but I feel like there's like a stigma between like men and women, like who's more successful and like all this stuff. And I feel like especially in the creator field, like I guess that can arise, but only if you let it arise, you know, like only if you're letting your ego accept the fact that like maybe there is competition, but that's more so like an internal thing. So I feel like I have heard this like from guys before, like kind of saying like, yeah, like, you know, I can date a girl in the same field, but it has to be like another type of field, you know, like it has to be something like along. Yeah, because I honestly think it's that, like, I just think that like, I feel like men have this perception of like, oh, they can't be better than me, or like,
or they want to be the ones to provide more.
Exactly. Like, yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's just, an ego thing, but that doesn't. Oh my god, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's only men that think like that. You know.
Yeah.
But
No, I know very
from what I've heard,
career-driven women. Are like,
yeah, they're like about their shit, and they're like, I don't need anybody, like any
Literally.
man, you know, like anybody to tell me anything.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like, you know, I feel like creative relationships in this scenario, I feel like for both of us work out really well. Yeah, and I definitely wanted to like pick your brain about that because, you know, I feel like it's definitely something that I feel like has come up in conversation, and I'm just like, who's a successful creative couple that's been together for 10 years and is now engaged?
It's me.
And has a successful business, Age Gap Studios. Check it out. This is where we're recording right now, just so you know.
Hey.
So I guess to sign off, I wanted to ask you, like, I guess what would be your advice, you know, when it comes to, I guess, starting a business with your creative partner? I know we're talking about more like the creative relationship, but in this scenario, I wanted to talk about more about the business aspect, because I have seen people like friends or family members that do start their own business together. But then I also see on the other hand that some people say like, oh, you should never start a business with your significant other. You should never start a business with a family member. So I wanted to get your opinion on that, and like maybe any advice that you can give to me and everybody else.
So maybe this doesn't just fall under the creative industry, but it just, if you are starting a business with a significant other, I would make sure that you're doing it like 50-50 split, like everything even, or if you have other founders, 25, you know, it's all even. Never have someone kind of have ownership or dictate over your life, because I feel like that will start bleeding into your relationship for sure. Like, oh, but I'm the one that pays for this and like does this, and that's never healthy. So I would definitely, and then if you're not starting a business together and you have your own career and they have their own career, just make sure that you give each other the space to grow that's needed, because space is so important. I spend a lot of time with my significant other because we have the same business and we live together and we work together, and it's a lot sometimes, but we try to give each other space to grow and still get to know ourselves, because we're still pretty young, I feel, you know, and there's this is only the beginning, so imagine. So definitely I would say just make sure it's even in every aspect. In your relationship and in your business. That's beautiful. Yeah, I agree. And I feel like I feel like good business partners at all, the core is communication. Like the core aspect is communication. Like literally everything. Too much.
Yeah, too much.
Like I know his pooping schedule.
Yeah, it's literally. It's great because I can leave the house when he's taking a shit.
But also be spontaneous, you know? Because that's what I struggle with. Is like,
me too.
Yeah. Like, and I love spontaneity. Like it's I love going on adventures and having fun, but you have to like push me to do those things sometimes.
I agree. I feel like I'm very, like, I always say that I'm comfortable being uncomfortable, but I've come to the conclusion that I'm really not. Like when it comes to like trying a new food, yes, but when it comes to like making a move, like a real big girl move, I'm like, oh my god, like but what if, and I start thinking like all these things. So
what's the budget?
Literally, what is the budget? Yeah. So I definitely feel like at least in my relationship, like Johnny weighs that out for me. Like he is much more though. So like, you know, what's the worst that can happen? Like he's very much that mindset. Like, you know, we're never gonna know if we don't try, you know. And I'm just like but like yeah, we love him.
Yeah.
Shout out,
we're fans.
Shout out Johnny say word. But anyways, I wanted to thank you for coming on my podcast. Is there anything you wanted to ask me? I feel like I'm in like an interview for real. TBT when I got hired here.
Well, when you like your other relationships that you had in the past, right? And your relationship now, how do you see that being different? Because they were different types of creatives, right? What kind of creative is like your relationship in now that your other creatives weren't?
So I feel like this relationship, I feel like Johnny is like an overall creator. I would say like he bleeds more into like the music aspect. I feel like my last relationship like definitely wasn't like that. He was more so like a director, like film writer, like all like short films vibe. And Johnny's like a little bit more of everything. Like he can dabble into short film, but he can also do music videos, and he can also like write a comedy. Like he can do
kind of like you.
Yeah. And I feel like that's where when I met him on a set. So when I saw how he worked, I was like, work. Like,
well, dude, we went to a
kinda
film
like me.
screening.
Yeah.
We went to a film screening and like an hour into it, I see Johnny behind the bar, like making drinks, and then he's back out with you networking. And I'm like, oh, he can literally do it all.
He can do it all. Yeah. So
amazing.
that was like the one thing that really attracted me to him. And like, even like I don't know, like sometimes he'll pretend to like act or something, and I'm like, you're good. Like, you know, I feel like he can do anything. So I feel like he really doesn't limit himself when it comes to that, and like he's down to try like whatever it is, you know.
So beautiful.
So it is a beautiful thing, you know. And I feel like our relationship really works because we like really support each other, like with whatever it is. Like we always lift each other up. And I feel like, for example, like since he's doing this music, and he's dropping an album really soon, I feel like I'm pretty good at like, I guess, like social media managing and like creating assets and like doing little promos and graphics and stuff.
Asset.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like,
yeah. That costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
I was reading something on social today that I sent to Kendrick, like a screen grab, and it was like, oh, when you get a girlfriend, you get like a stylist, a financial planner, a porn star. Like whoever's not in a relationship is slacking. Because
dead ass though, for real. And I feel like, you know, I've been really helping him with that aspect, like trying to like work my efforts into that aspect. And then I feel like with mine, like he's been really like trying to do more behind the scenes for me. And like, you know,
learn from each other.
Exactly. And it's a really good duo, you know, and it's not just with, you know, our careers, but within our relationship as well, and like our intimacy and the vulnerability side of it. So I feel like overall it's a very different like rodeo, you know.
You take the good things and the bad things from each other. You learn behaviors.
Exactly. Yes. But yeah, I feel like it's a really beautiful thing. And I think creative relationships, at the end of the day, like I feel like it's all up to the individual, you know, to learn if, you know, if it's stinging your ego or not, because you need work, sis or man.
Support creative relationships here.
Period. Anyways, guys, that was it for today. If you like this, make sure to comment, rate, subscribe. I don't even know what else to do, but yeah. So make sure to go ahead and check Busy out on her social media, which is Glow Stick Baby. Oh, look, show them your mask. Oh, so I got Busy this mask for her birthday / Christmas. Glow Stick Baby. She loves reflective, and she's like a rave girl.
Total rave girl on TikTok and on Instagram.
So and you can follow her TikTok as well. Very creative. We love
not very business oriented, but
she's like, you know, I separate that, but like it's harder for me to separate, you know, in my relationship, but like on TikTok and Instagram it's easy. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. Have an amazing day. Bye.
Yay! I'm like, is it over?